Welcome to Is It Covered, where we break down real stories and answer the big question, is it covered? Hosted by father and son duo Bruce and Brian Chapman of the J.D. Chapman Insurance Agency. This podcast will help you navigate the world of insurance with stories, tips, and answers that really matter. From personal to commercial coverage, we've got you covered. Now, let's get started.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Is It Covered, the podcast sponsored by J.D. Chapman. Again, this is a podcast that kind of goes through different claims and real-life scenarios. We break down the tips and tricks and kind of fun and silly things that go into claims. Now, as always, claims are completely different. Not everything is paid out depending on your policy and the way that it is written. So we do suggest that you, talk to your agent or the actual carrier themselves if you do have a claim. So we are going to do a little 3-part mini-series on restaurant claims, and we actually brought in our in-house restaurant expert, Rich Malik. Before we get into it, though, I would like Rich to just kind of introduce yourself, let everybody know what you do. You are our newest employee at J.D. Chapman. Very excited to have you aboard. So give everyone a little background on, where you come from and what you do for the agency.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this. I've been looking forward to it. I watched the podcast myself, so happy to be part of this. I spent 20 years as a pizzeria owner, and I've been sort of trying to figure out what I was going to do when I grew up, and I happened to come across you guys, and so I'm green to the insurance business. I just started as a producer with J.D. Chapman this summer, and everything's been going really well, and I've learned a ton, and I think that having a lot of experience mentoring me and behind me, I think that we definitely have a lot of opportunity ahead of us.
Yeah. So we can assume you've grown up then?
I'm all grown up now.
Okay, awesome. Sounds great.
You found your career.
Yeah. I bet you've seen a lot in the restaurant business.
I have seen a lot, yes.
Yeah.
Tell us
Unfortunately,
about,
sometimes.
tell us about a scenario maybe that could lead into a claim.
So something that happened at the pizzeria a long time ago was unfortunately we had theft. We had a really big night on a Friday night, and it was literally one of the busiest times. This was probably the first few years that I had been there, and it was an unusually busy night because there was a street party. So lots of cash came in that night, and our normal procedure was to bring our bank deposit to the bank, but unfortunately that night things happened, and we decided, the manager on duty decided to lock the deposit up in one of the freezers. Mm-hmm. And so that actually wasn't like a horrible idea because it was a locking freezer. So, not bad. But then the next day, because it was a pretty late night, I would usually open, but I came in a little bit later. And when I came in, I started to go about my business, and I started to look at the paperwork, and I realized that we didn't have any deposit slips, and I thought that was unusual. So I tried to track everything down, and come to find out, I learned that the deposit hadn't been put away, mm-hmm. or hadn't been deposited properly, and had been locked in the freezer. And I looked in the freazer, and there wasn't anything money there.
Everything was gone.
Everything was gone. Man. All this, it was literally like one of the biggest nights we had at that point.
Were you freaking out?
I freaked out really bad.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah. And so the first thing I did was call my partner and ask, what we do. And he said, call the police, and we go from there. So that was a really rough night for us.
Oh, I'm sure.
Us, yeah.
So what ended up happening to the money?
So the money was never recovered, unfortunately. We went through. It was a big enough amount that the police were very interested in finding who did it. And we actually had a few people do polygraph detectors.
Some of your employees?
Some of the employees, yep. And unfortunately, there was one person in particular who didn't fare well in the polygraph, but I guess because it's a polygraph, you can't really prove anything. So nothing was ever found, and the person that we thought was responsible never really was held accountable for it. So yeah, unfortunately, it was just a big loss for us.
Right.
Fortunately, we did have insurance come in for that.
Did you get paid then?
We did get paid. Yeah.
Okay.
And when I spoke with the adjuster, it was funny because I said, you sort of have to give numbers as to what's normal, and I said, well, it just so happened that this was a highly unusual night because of this block party that we were happening, and the adjuster said, sure. But it was true. I mean, we had receipts and everything of all the business that we had done. So yeah, we had to pay our deductible, and thankfully we were covered for it.
Did they go through old records to determine like what a normal take is, and maybe you'd had other block parties and what kind of money you'd be bringing in then?
That's exactly
Forensic
right.
accounting?
Yes, exactly. They wanted to. They took a look at our numbers for it was a Friday night, so they wanted to see recent Friday nights. I forget how long they went back. I think it was about 6 months, but we hadn't ever done like a block party before, so that was just sort of out of the norm, and thankfully they took our word for it. But again, we did have the receipts for it. We were on the up and up.
So on the insurance end, let's say that it was determined that taking your scenario, but let's say that it was determined that one of the employees actually did, let's say, find that in the freezer and take it home. How does insurance typically respond to employee theft?
Well, if you have crime coverage, which most of your business owner policies do, you'd have a claim, but I believe you'd have to press charges, and certainly you'd have to have a police report. And then it's pretty cut and dry if you have the coverage, as we discovered from Rich. The thing I was wondering about is there was no actual suspect, and how are they going to pay out? But this one was pretty easy. Rich told us it was covered.
Yeah. So if you do have a scenario where maybe you're a pizzeria owner or a restaurant owner and you do have an employee or, some form of theft happen, typically those policies have that type of coverage on them, correct?
The business owner BOP policies generally have crime on them. Not all policies do, but certainly if you're in a restaurant business, you want crime coverage.
Absolutely, and there's a certain limit too. It's always good to ask your agent or whoever your policy is, hey, what's my limit? Because that might not be enough, and you might have to actually increase that depending on your volume.
And you might want to make sure you have refrigerated food products, so when you're storing your money in the freezer, there's coverage for that too.
So the money doesn't spoil? Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that does it for this one. Like we said, it's a fairly cut and dry one. So I would say for this scenario, I'd say it's covered.
Covered.
Well, that concludes another episode of Is It Covered, the podcast by JD Chapman. Rich will be returning for a couple more episodes here with us. But as always, if you are listening and you've got an idea of either a claim you've experienced or something that you'd like us to break down, we'll bring in experts, we'll bring in the brain trust, and we'll break down your claims. You can send any ideas to brian@jdchapmaninc.com, and we would love to hear from you.
Brian with an I, correct?
Brian with an I, that's right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Is It Covered podcast. To learn more about how JD Chapman can assist you with all your insurance needs, please visit our website at jdchapmaninc.com or call us at 315-986-4062. JD Chapman, we've got you covered. This podcast provides general information only and does not offer or bind insurance coverage. Coverage cannot be changed or confirmed through this podcast, email, voicemail, or fax. Insurance only takes effect once confirmed by a licensed agent. For specific coverage details, please call us at 315-986-4062. All coverages are subject to the terms, conditions, and exclusions of the issued policy, which may vary by state. This podcast does not provide legal, tax, or financial advice. Please consult a professional for those needs. Links to other sites are provided for convenience. We don't control or endorse their content. Any claims, scenarios discussed are hypothetical. Coverage decisions depend on the specifics of each case.